Getting thick. There we go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I say ladies and gentlemen this time because, guys, the last video, Fitness Meme Review Episode 1, managed to garner 16.1% female viewership. Guys, that's pretty much the entire female fitness industry. Phenomenal. Anyway, guys, so welcome to the Fast-Paced Training Systems YouTube channel. Before we get into the video today, I want to let you guys know that we have a live stream on Wednesday where we are going to lay out an entire year's worth of training for you so that you can take your goals for the next year and actually stick them into something practical. Please go to the live stream tab on the channel and click the notify me button to make sure that you get a notification when we go live. We also have a Q&A afterwards to answer any questions that you guys may have. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So, Jesse James West just released a new video where he shows his meet day performance, guys, okay? Bodybuilding boy decided to do a powerlifting meet. I think these sorts of videos get views because people want to know or see where the bodybuilding or muscle size actually does carry over to strength. It's become popular recently in the powerlifting circles of internet culture to focus on minimalistic, hyper-specialized training. Every dude who's 5'10" thinks he's destined to be the next 65 kilo world champion, even though he looks like a cooked spaghetti and proudly posts his 2.5 times body weight deadlift of 140 kilograms to Instagram, making fun of people who pull twice as much for being fat. Now, why anybody would want to be strong while looking like a twig is a mystery to me, but I think it has something to do with this new obsession with relative strength. These relative strength guys sit in quite direct opposition to the Zyzz aesthetics bros who don't do any compounds and use their clinical muscle dysmorphia to obsess over each other's naked bodies to such an extent that no-homo can't even save them anymore. They also idealize cocaine-fueled funtime and stacking up enough STDs to make a hooker blush. Unfortunately, they also often neglect the fact that the compound lifts are fantastic for muscle development. Now, this is not to say that any of the three guys I'm going to talk about now fall into these camps, but I think that they're competing in powerlifting have both camps sitting on the edge of their seats, fingers firmly placed on the keyboard, guys, ready at a moment's notice to type either "I'm 55 kilograms, a deadlift 3 times my body weight, weak," or "See, compounds are overrated, bro. They're bad for your joints anyway. You pussies don't even look like you lift." So, to combat these two hyper-ideological, socially retarded camps, let's dissect some popular YouTubers who have recently competed in powerlifting or tested their 1RMs and compare them to general strength levels. I picked 3 candidates: Jesse James West, Alex Eubank, and Hamish James. Why? Because I think that all of them are great examples of natural bodybuilders, and they all look phenomenal. I picked them because they recently tested their 1RMs, and because they all fall in slightly different parts of what I like to term the gym bro spectrum. Right. Alex only cares about looking good. He's had multiple injuries in the past, like a herniated disc and labrum and tear, and only cares about how he looks. I mean, fuck me, Alex. Hit a heavy low bar squat, my guy. Your girlfriend even said that your glutes need work.
That shit's fat.
No, it's small as hell.
That shit's fat.
Both cheeks can fit in one palm.
I'll even offer to teach you how to do it without hurting your back. Jesse's focus is on aesthetics, but he also cares about his strength. He definitely puts more focus on the compounds than Alex, but still primarily focuses on bodybuilding. He's also the holder of the longest breath hold in gym community world record as he deadlifted 6 plates underwater. Hamish is what I call more of a power builder, kind of like a natty version of David Lade. Oof! Ruffled some feathers with that one. He actually uses compounds regularly and really puts effort into getting his strength up. I also like him because out of the 3, he was the leanest when competing in powerlifting, and although he looks phenomenal on stage in bodybuilding at a much taller height than these other 2, they definitely outsize him a little bit. On an unrelated note, Hamish, please collab with me. Now, although I really like all 3 of these guys, I have to make a really important disclaimer. See, Alex beats both Jesse and Hamish. Why? Because he is the only one, the only absolute unit, guys, who pulled conventional. And so, by the transferent properties of placing the legs righteously between the arms, his test levels are clearly higher. Now that joke is over, let's get into their numbers. Jesse, at his meet, put up a 152.5 kilo bench, 202.5 kilo squat, and 202.5 kilo deadlift. Alex, in the gym, put up a 285 pound bench, without a pause, mind you, a 315 pound squat, and a 415 pound deadlift. Hamish benched 122.5 kilos, squatted 180, and deadlifted 225 kilos. Although these were in the gym, he did recently compete before hitting these numbers. All of them would compete roughly between 80 and 85 kilograms in body weight. Although, to be fair to Hamish, he might compete at a lower weight, so this comparison might disadvantage him a little bit. Sorry, bro. So that means they total 577.5 kilos, 460 kilos, and 527.5 kilos, respectively. Let's look at how that stacks up against other powerlifters in tested federations.
No.
Okay, let's be fair here. None of these guys are competitive powerlifters, and trying to compare them to people who are is unfair at best and being a prick at worst. I am one, but I'm going to try not to be. Anyway, let's use a much more fair comparison to the regular lifting population. For you who don't know, Strength Level is a site that contains strength standards by body weight based on tens or hundreds of thousands of lifts. Is it perfect? No. Do I think the standards are often too low? Yes, but it can give you a good indication of where you are and give you motivation to progress into the future. So let's see where our boys end up. On the squat, Jesse lands in the upper end of the advanced class. Hamish lands in the lower end of the advanced class, and Alex rounds us out in the intermediate class. On the bench, Jesse lands in the middle of the advanced class, Alex lands in the upper end of intermediate, and Hamish sits in the middle of the intermediate pack. Again, Alex didn't pause his bench, so Hamish is pulling the short end of the stick. Sorry, bro. On the deadlift, Hamish lands in the middle of the advanced pack with 225 kilos. Jesse is a close runner-up, but my boy Alex, even though he sits mid-intermediate, wins by default as he is the only contestant to actually perform a deadlift leg between the arms. Again, leg between the arms. So, because he's the only contestant to actually perform all three lifts, he wins by default. Okay, that's a joke. Jesse wins because his sumo was the narrowest. Again, sorry Hamish. Okay, well guys, even though this is a little fun comparison, obviously it isn't perfect. The weight classes are probably a little off. Alex has past injuries and benches touch and go instead of paused. Hamish and Jesse pull sumo, etc. But it does illustrate an interesting point about training and specificity. All three of these guys have put on substantial amounts of muscle through different methods. Alex and Jesse are probably the bigger two of the three in terms of muscle mass, but specificity shows how important actually training the lifts are for strength performance. On the other hand, although Jesse outsizes Hamish, as they have similar muscle mass with a lot of big height difference, Hamish is hanging in there, probably because he spends more time training the big three than Jesse. What does all this mean? The lifter that won at the end of the day was the lifter with the most amount of muscle mass who then went and applied that muscle to producing force and lifting weight. That's the reality of getting stronger. Chad Wesley Smith always says, you grow muscle, you teach the muscle to produce force, and then you go perform at the meet. Jesse, even though he's a bodybuilder, was able to get to go through a strength/peaking phase and turn that muscle into something useful. Now, if I were him, I would have first gone through a dedicated strength cycle and then peaked, as that would have yielded better results. But that wouldn't make for such a catchy thumbnail, now would it, Jesse? The point is, guys, if you only do the big three and always focus on strength and neurological adaptation, you are going to hit a brick wall because you are refusing to use the easiest tool that you have to get stronger, getting bigger. Remember that back in the day, powerlifters trained like bodybuilders in the off-season. Lots of volume and hypertrophy work. Look at Bill Kazmaier, for example. On the other hand, if you never do the compound lifts, you're really leaving some development on the table. Not only strength, but also muscle mass. Powerlifting only started in 1965. Before that, the bench, squat, and deadlift were used by bodybuilders as the best way to get big. Programs like 5x5 were used to get big, not just strong. There's another way of looking at this too. Remember that your body adapts to what you do and the stimulus that you give it. If all you ever do is hypertrophy work, eventually your body will adapt and you won't grow anymore. The same with strength gains or neurological adaptation. But let's say you switch to a different phase, train a different system. Not only will you experience a lot of gains from that because it's untapped potential, but your body will also stop being resistant to your regular training. And when you get back to it, you will grow again. The point at the end of the day, guys, is don't trap yourself in a rabbit hole. Don't get dug into one form of training because you will only cut yourself off from other things that can make you grow. I've used this in my own training. The first phase I ran was for hypertrophy, higher volume than what I was used to, wider exercise selection. Now I have changed to a more strength-focused phase. Both actually use the same step loading progression. Click on this video about step loading if you would like to learn more about it. All that has changed is the rep range, exercise selection, and overall volume. Intensity is up, volume is down. The exercises, which were geared to general development and rounding out weak muscle groups, are now geared to overloading and giving neurological stimulus or to helping the weak portion of a lift. This week, for example, my bench press switched from touch and go to paused. The accessory for the bench is a pin press with an overload eccentric. The squat is still being supplemented by the front squat as my quads are still my weak point, but the reps have all moved down. The overhead press, I pause the reps on my shoulder. The accessory is also changed from Z press to push press, which lets me overload the top portion of the lift. The deadlift, all I did was move the rep range down because I still only deadlift once per week. Everything is moving to be more specific to strength and neurological adaptation, but only after I spent 15 weeks building muscle with a variety of movements and bigger volumes. I want to say thanks to all these guys for putting out great content that we can all enjoy, and I look forward to meeting them someday. I also want to say a big thanks to you guys. We just crossed over 100 subscribers, and the first installment, a fitness meme review, is almost at 300 views. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe. Please also tell your friends about us. Let's grow this channel into a hub for good information on strength and conditioning. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Cheers.